and welcome to my channel, to my first video, where I will be introducing some of my ideas, my crazy ideas, to the world. Now, they're not so crazy. They're, for the most part, very old ideas. I just have my own way of presenting them that I think has value in of itself. As they say, there's nothing new under the sun, right? But I look forward to seeing how people respond to this, because I've seen value from it, and I've seen value, I've seen it benefit others as well. Discussing these ideas, exploring these ideas with them in this way. So first, I want to talk about motivation a little bit. I love ideas. I love philosophy. Funny enough, I mean, philosophy, the root of the word comes from the words philo and sophia, which is the love of knowledge or wisdom. I forget. Doesn't matter. So a lot of what I'll be discussing are very philosophical ideas, ideas about logic and the nature of reality, and even spirituality, or something akin to spirituality, even though that's not my favorite word in the world. It'll do. But also, I think that there's value, practical value, in the intellectual exploration of our deepest understandings of life. And everything kind of trickles down from this stuff. I've seen a lot of value in my own life, again, by exploring my understanding, my ideas, because we often don't realize that those things, they direct us. They explain our motivations and why we do what we do, consciously and unconsciously. And well, there's a lot more value that can come from this stuff, but ultimately I love discussing ideas, right? And thinking about what is all of this life, this existence, this experience that we're having of existence. So the first topic, and this is part of the introduction, in a sense, of the ideas I'll be discussing moving forward. But something that's important, I think, to underline is the inherently limited structure of the mind. And why is that important? Well, we're using our minds to take in these ideas and process them and look at them in different ways. So the mind does play a big role in this. And there's this very interesting line between life and our ideas about life. And I'm sure many people have thought about this before. This is kind of obvious stuff, but bear with me, trust me, there's value in going over the obvious sometimes. And in discussing the nature of reality, life, existence, this line plays a big role. And so the mind, as I said, is inherently limited in its structure, and I'll go much deeper into this in other videos. But what it tries to do, there's the expression to grasp an idea or to wrap one's mind around something. Literally, that implies that concepts, that which the mind can grasp, that which the mind can wrap itself around, has to be a limited concept, right? Can we wrap our minds around life itself? Well, we don't know what the boundaries of life are, ultimately, right? Life is bigger than the mind. The mind is contained within life. And that's an important theme I'll often come back to, is the whole versus the part, right? And I like to say that the mind tries to grasp the whole, and there's nothing wrong with that. That is actually an important thing to some degree, but we tend to abuse that. We tend to overdo it. And what I think is important is to find the mind's proper place within the whole, so that when the mind, so that we can guide the mind there, and then when the mind falls into place, then other things start to fall into place as well, as including other parts of ourselves that we might not realize are there, right? And then when we fall into place within reality, then we can kind of feel it out better. We get a better sense of the whole, as opposed to a limited concept of the whole. And so that might sound a little vague, because sense as opposed to concept is a bit more intangible, right? But that's okay. That's part of this process. Is a little bit of letting go that has to happen, just a little bit, right? And if you don't get it quite yet, then just keep going. That's what I'm talking about right now, is that if you don't feel like you always get an idea, that's okay. You just keep going. And the way I'm making these videos is so that we slowly get saturated, so that we develop a better sense, and we develop a better sense of sense itself. All right? So I know that sounds a little abstract, but as I said, just trust me. So a lot of this is like the expression, guiding a horse to water. You can guide a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, right? And so that's kind of this process with the mind. I am presenting ideas, we're contemplating concepts, which the mind loves, but none of these concepts on their own is the full picture, right? So I can present these ideas to the mind, and some of them will resonate more than others. Some of them will feel more whole or complete than others. And they may well be, but none of them are absolutely complete. And none of them are absolutely incomplete either, if that makes sense. But as we guide the horse to water, as we guide the mind into its proper place, sooner or later, the horse is going to sip the water. And then we're going to have this experience of understanding that is beyond just intellectual, that is more whole and complete. That is the horse sipping the water, as opposed to just being guided to the water. And yes, that's what we're trying to create. We're saturating ourselves with something a little bit more fundamental than just intellectual conception. And I'll end on this note, which is that, there's all of these different theories of everything, as they like to say. A lot of physicists and philosophers trying to find the answer of life, right? And I think that's great. I think that's beautiful. But in a sense, it's comparable to what I've been talking about, or like going to the gym, right? You don't just go to the gym and do the perfect workout once, and then you're jacked for life. I mean, who knows? If someone knows of such a workout, let me know. That's possible. Anything's possible. But for the most part, it's good enough to go to the gym or work out or do whatever you do on a regular basis at the intensity that is appropriate for you at that time, at the regularity that is appropriate for you at that given time. And that's what saturates the body in a sense and allows you to change shape, get in shape. This is the same thing in a sense. So I hope that makes sense to you. I hope it resonates. And I look forward to continuing to make these. I'm enjoying the process, as I said. So yes. Thanks for sticking to the end, and have a great day. Goodbye.